absolutely imperative that you have systems in place to achieve your goals. And for so long, I struggled with getting to the next level, right? Because there's always the next level. You're always raising the bar, right? But maybe it's you struggling with trying to get to the next level with your physique. Maybe you have relationship goals. You want to attract the right partner. Maybe it's business, money goals, whatever it is that you have in mind, you've probably struggled to stick to it, to be consistent. And maybe you start, you have New Year's resolutions. Maybe you've tried journaling and you list out what you want to do, but then you'll fall short. And you look back at the year and you're like, what the hell did I even accomplish this year? Or, you feel like you're being productive, but you're actually not. Now, I've learned a few things about this myself, and I'm going to share that with you today because I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. I was in combat. I was a team leader. I did fitness modeling for a while, started my own personal training and coaching business. And then I, have been climbing the corporate ladder in sales for a long time. And every single level requires you to be more disciplined. It requires you to be more organized, and you got to have systems in place. I'm going to make this as easy as possible. But let me just take you back to the beginning of 2019. Okay, so I got out of the military in 2014, and for about 4 years, I was kind of just aimlessly going through the motions. I was partying a lot. I had done 4 years of college, but I didn't actually have my degree yet. And I just felt like I was so behind. So at the beginning of 2019, I decided, you know what? I'm going to stop procrastinating. I'm going to prioritize the things I need to get done. And I'm just going to start being more organized. So how I started doing this initially, bro, is I literally would just outline my goals, my big goals that I wanted. Okay. What are my big goals? What does my ideal life look like? Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? Who do I want to be spending my time with? Right. And then I just chunked down into smaller goals. So for me at the time, it was I wanted to be an online fitness coach. I wanted to make good money. I wanted to make at least 6 figures a year. And I wanted to finish my bachelor's degree. I wanted to become more articulate, read more, become smarter, have better friends in my life. And I attracted all of that. But it took me a while, because you start one goal, you start chipping away, and it's just this constantly raising the bar. So first, what I did is I had my goals outlined. Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And then I chunked down from that. And honestly, just writing a to-do list. That was literally focusing on one day at a time. You zoom out of where you ultimately want to be and then just chunk down to one day at a time. The night before, I would just literally write a to-do list of what I needed to do for the next day. Okay. So that's really going to be it. And then it's just going to be being disciplined and being consistent over and over. All right. So let me give you this step-by-step order of exactly what you should do. Okay. I want to make this as actionable as possible. These are some tactical steps. Okay. So the first thing you gotta do is if you want to achieve your goals in life, no matter what it is, you've got to do what most people aren't doing. And that is cut out the noise and distractions in your life. It's negative people. It's people who aren't aligned with where you're going. It's overconsumption of news and media and doom scrolling. Just too many distractions. Guys, I don't not like any of these things, okay? I mean, obviously negative people, but I'm not opposed to video games. I'm not opposed to TV and movies and all this stuff, okay? But if you're not where you want to be in your life, you got to realize that time is precious, okay? So you've got to cut out the noise because you need to cut out the noise to gain the clarity of where you want to go and what you actually want, right? So silence all the distractions. I don't have any news apps on my phone. I pretty much keep my phone on Do Not Disturb most of the day. I only have certain people, family, friends, work that have access to me. Otherwise, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. I would recommend that you optimize all of your focus settings on your phone, Do Not Disturb focus settings, and get rid of all your push notifications on your phone, social media notifications, all that stuff, okay? So you've got to silence distractions so that way you can actually hear your own thoughts. This is really important, man. A lot of people don't know what they want and who they are and where they're going in their life because there's too many distractions, so much noise. And that's what the enemy wants you to do. You came here with a mission. It's your choice. It's your responsibility to figure out what that mission is. So you got to cut the noise out first, okay? Number 2, define your dream life, like very explicitly. So use a Google Doc and just sit there and put a prompt as, what does my dream life look like? Okay. And then sit there, and however long it takes, it might take you, 20 minutes. It might take you an hour. I don't know. I think it took me probably about maybe 20 minutes to just sit there and explicitly write it out. But spend one morning, as soon as you wake up, when your mind is clear, when your mind is fresh, right when you wake up, maybe have some caffeine, and sit there in front of your computer and write this out. You can also handwrite it. I've done it in my journal handwritten, but however it works for you. I put everything in Google Docs pretty much. Your dream life, write it out as explicitly as you can detail it. Like, it's going to be something different for you than it is for me, probably. Okay. So whatever that means to you, what do you look like? What are you doing for work? What would you be doing if money wasn't an object? If you could be getting paid a ton of money to do anything, what would it be? How would you live your day? Literally, what does your schedule look like from the time that you wake up until the time that you go to bed? What are you doing on the weekends? Do you have a partner with you? Like, get as detailed as possible. What kind of friends do you hang out with? Everything. I want you to get very, very detailed because you have to have the clear vision first, all right? The third thing is I want you to have a prompt that says, define your hell on earth. The bane of your existence. If nothing changes right now, where would you be in 5 years, in 10 years, right? Like, think about your worst case scenario life. What do you look like? Are you fucking fat and overweight and depressed and having suicidal thoughts? Are you in an unhappy relationship, an unhappy marriage, and you have kids with someone you don't like? You're doing a work that you absolutely hate. You hate your job. You're living in a place that you hate, bro. Like, I'm telling you, get as detailed as possible. And why? Because this kind of anchors you to this emotionally. Because you actually put yourself there, right? And you think, holy shit, like, I'm going to do everything in my power to not ever have that. I want to run as far away as I possibly can from that. And that's what you have to do. Worst case version of your life, the one that you refuse to live. And like I said, this is going to create emotional leverage for you, all right? Now, the next thing is, like I said before, I want you to write out all your goals, all of them, big and small goals. I want you to capture everything that you want to accomplish in your life, okay? And we'll figure out the rest later. That's so that way you can see the full scope of your life, okay? Like, life, the universe has a crazy way of taking us down different paths, but it keeps everything top of mind for you, right? So write down all the goals that you want, big and small goals. The fifth thing is I want you to find a mentor, okay? And start building a growth-oriented circle. So back in the beginning of 2019, I really had no friends except for my sister. And when I started working at a gym, it was actually like, shoot, man. It was actually about 7 months of really not having any friends. Once I transformed my physique, I was working at LA Fitness as a personal trainer and sales associate. And my first client that I got was this really cool guy. He's a movie actor. He ended up being in Suicide Squad. I live in Atlanta, by the way, shoot a lot of movies here. I'm not going to say the name, but he's a good friend of mine now. And it was just like one thing after the next, man. I started meeting people, and the universe brought people into my life that were more aligned with the path that I was on because I was on my path, okay? But that is a component of it. But I want you to start being proactive and putting yourself out there to meet people. Like, I didn't necessarily do this as much as I should have, but that's why I'm telling you now to do that. There's communities, there's groups, there's meetups, there's, this is back in 2019. There's so many resources now in school communities and, mentorships, and just start putting yourself out there. I had a really good piece of advice, and maybe you can afford this, maybe you can't, but I think getting an expensive gym membership at a really high-end gym where there's a lot of people that you can meet, right? It's a great investment, right? Because not only health is wealth, but actually being in the same room of people that are, successful, right? I think, for example, I live in Atlanta, and there's a Lifetime gym here. There's several Lifetime gyms, but going there, you're exposed. It's in a city. You're exposed to a lot of people that, you can network. So just need to be always thinking, having this growth oriented mindset and just, do your due diligence of putting in effort, but also understand too that the universe will bring people into your life as long as you're on the path and you're heading in the direction that you're supposed to be on, the direction that your intuition tells you to go on. Everything will work out, bro. Everything will work out. The next thing you got to do is, so we've talked about our big goals, right? All right. Now you have to reverse engineer that. Okay. You have to reverse engineer your big goals and chunk them down. Okay. So break the massive goals into manageable milestones. Focus on one or two priorities at a time. So for example, for me, when beginning of 2019, I needed to fix my body. I needed to get shredded. I needed to have better eating habits. I needed to have better lifestyle habits. I needed to finish my degree. I still had 2 years left in my bachelor's degree. I needed to get certified as a personal trainer so I could work at a gym, and then I could eventually start my own fitness business. And then I could start my own online business. So this took me about 2 years to get here. Okay. And monk mode is very important in certain periods, which I'm going to get to in a second. But I knew where I wanted to be. And I thought, okay, forget about unrealistic, just chunk this down. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be shredded. I want to be an online fitness coach and help people because it wouldn't even feel like work. So I thought, all right, transform the physique. The next 6 months, bro, I am dialed in. I'm locked in on my physique, my habits, crushing my habits, my vices, and getting my personal training certification through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I was working at Best Buy. I was working at Live Nation. I had a couple of shitty jobs that I wanted. So then I transitioned into a personal training and I did that. And then when COVID hit, I had to leave the gym. So I started my own fitness business. And then it came a point where I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and finish all the rest of my credits, finish my bachelor's degree. So I focused on that. And I would say the past year, I started YouTube back in January and I've seen a little bit of growth. I hired a business coach this year to help me with a couple of different offers that I've launched. And I've just been really heavily focused on YouTube, building my business on the side, and then also getting into a new sales job, making a pivot in my sales career. Okay. And just kind of maintaining my physique, right? So you can't really do everything at once because you only have so much time and energy. And I kind of look at it like this. At the end of the day, you have a certain amount of brain points, as I would put it, like a certain amount of brain points or brain power that you can put towards things. And you have to focus on just the areas that are most important in your life. Okay. People talk about balance in life. Ultimately, we all want balance, but you can really only put so much intense focus and energy into certain areas of your life. Like, for example, if I was trying to look like a fitness model right now, I wouldn't have the energy for YouTube. I wouldn't have the energy for my job. It just wouldn't, it wouldn't be aligned with where I'm at right now. So reverse engineer your goals. You're focusing on one, maybe you focus on your body for the next 3 months to a year or whatever. You got to give it at least 12 or 16 weeks. Okay. Maybe there's a year that you're really heavily focused on your money, but that doesn't mean that you should let your body slip. Okay. We're always going to be at least maintaining. We're never going to be losing progress. Okay. So that's really how you do it, man. You got to look at the big picture, zoom out, and then you got to reverse engineer. Okay. Now you have to organize your days and environment for execution. So with my days, for example, the night before, I'm always looking at my calendar of what I have lined up for the next day. I have reoccurring reminders set up for haircut, for beard trim, for all kinds of stuff, man, for groceries, for doing laundry, everything. Because I live by myself, I cook and everything. I take care of myself my whole entire life. No one's helping me. Have reminders, reoccurring. Have everything on your calendar. What time you're going to the gym, what gym you're going to, what muscle groups you're training for, how long, all of it. You should have everything completely mapped out. And that way you don't have to think about it. You should have stuff on autopilot, okay? And you got to organize your days. Things should be on the calendar. If it's not on the calendar, if you don't have reminders for it, then, it's not going to get done. I'm going to also be honest with you too and tell you that on top of my reminders and my normal schedule that I have, on my phone, on my notes app, and I just started doing this about a year ago, to maximize how much I can even get done on the weekends, I will even have listed, and it's pinned in my notes, weekend to-do list. Saturday and Sunday, because I'm going to be working on the weekends. Maybe I'm doing some prospecting for my sales job. Maybe I'm working on writing YouTube content, shooting videos. Everything's time blocked, okay? Even my exercises, going for a walk, going for a hike, going to the gym, doing the sauna, all your priorities, they should be mapped out, okay? So to even optimize the time on the weekends, I will make a Saturday, Sunday list. And a part of that too is at least half of a day a week, at least half of the day on Sunday, I'm taking that to not do anything, to wind down and to chill. All right. And a part of hitting your goals means not burning out, right? A lot of people fail to hit their goals because they don't have the systems in place and they burn out, right? And that's why you've got to have a deeper reason why. What is your fucking why anyway, right? And that's the compelling reason intrinsically that keeps pushing you forward when you don't feel like showing up, right? So make sure you organize your days for success, calendars, reoccurring reminders, and time blocking. Set do not disturb, focus modes to protect your priorities. So whenever I turn my camera on, my phone automatically goes on do not disturb. Every single time. Okay? When I'm working on writing content, I put it away. I actually have a phone timed lockbox. It was like $25 or whatever. And I will use that sometimes. Now, I usually work away from the house. But if you work from home, or if you can afford to put your phone in a timed lockbox and have a deep work session, I highly recommend it, okay? You have to structure your environment for focus, for maximum productivity. Organize your days. You've also got to have daily non-negotiables, right? So what I mean by that is I want you to pick 2 key objectives for the day. You can have a to-do list, you can have a schedule, you can have all these things that you're supposed to do, but there's got to be those 2 main things. No, the top 2 priorities that if all else fails, I did those 2 things. And that should always be some kind of physical exercise, whether it's the gym, whether it's yoga, whether it's martial arts, whether it's a walk. It doesn't matter. Something, even if it's 20 minutes, all right? Non-negotiable. But you have 2 main things, right? Maybe it's something related to your business or your hobby, something that's going to move the needle in your life. So I'll give you an example. For me, aside from just getting movement in, that's a non-negotiable for me. There's always those top 2 priorities for the day. So prayer is always a part of it. Gratitude and prayer is always a part of it. And then I'll say for the week, I'm going to write and plan out at least 3 YouTube outlines rather. I don't use like word for word script. 3 outlines, okay? And then I'm going to record those 3 videos and then I'm going to make the thumbnails and schedule those uploads to go out. Because if you're watching this now, I probably shot this video a few weeks ago. Because I like to stay ahead of schedule because you never know what's going to happen in life, right? My goal is to keep moving and climbing on YouTube to help you guys. And I just started a new job recently. So I knew my first month of my new job was going to be a lot. And I still got to have a social life, right? So I had about 2 weeks in a gap between my jobs, my corporate job, where I wasn't working, but I was working on YouTube to get ahead. Do you see what I'm saying? This is how you guys should be thinking, right? This is how we move the needle. So that way you can live an abundant life and not burn out and not be stressed out, okay? We're enjoying the process. But even if you have this is very important. I want you to understand this. So there was several years back. So this is probably like 5 years ago, okay? And I had a pretty shredded physique, pretty ripped, but my money wasn't where I wanted it to be. I wasn't reading quite enough. I was just spending a fuck ton of time working out and working on my physique. And I would, spend a lot of time maybe like listening to personal development stuff, but not actually doing the things that were moving the needle, right? If I would have just started my business or started writing a program, building out a coaching offer, if I would have write some content and turn the fucking camera on, okay, and start moving the needle moving activities. And I looked at my life and I was like, man, we're in great shape and everything, but like my money's not where I want it to be. I'm not further along in my career. Like, what are we doing? you're focusing on the wrong things. And I really haven't even listened to that much content this year, but for, 6+ years, I was listening to a lot of audiobooks and lots of YouTube, which is all great, but it doesn't mean shit if you're not actually taking enough action. So this year it's been more like 90% action, 10% consumption, whereas before it was more like 10% action and 90% consumption. Okay. So we got to take action. All this stuff is great, but we got to take action. All right. Show up for yourself for the small wins, the big wins, the small wins. Show up for yourself every single day. Be consistent, right? Keeping your word. We talk about keeping our word to other people, being a man of your word, right? Your word should be like iron. You should live by a code, right? But be a man of your word also means keeping your word to yourself, right? Commitments and promises that you make for yourself, right? When you stick to things, missions, goals, objectives that you have, stick to a routine, stick to eating clean, like you keep telling yourself, stick to, getting up early and going to the gym, getting that workout in, stick to maybe reading, sticking to a morning routine, okay? When you stick to fucking things, bro, it builds your own it builds your confidence. It's internal confidence. It's intrinsic, right? It's something that cannot be faked. And you build that confidence showing up for yourself consistently. That is genuinely what builds real confidence. It's showing up for yourself, being there for you. Yeah, we should be there for other people close to us, but show up for yourself. Have respect for yourself. If you don't have respect for yourself, if you don't truly show up for yourself, how the fuck can you expect anyone else to? Right? You attract what you are. So don't forget that part. Also, bro, use monk mode. I highly recommend this. I've done monk mode in the past for 9 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, even like up, I wouldn't say anything more than a year, but use monk mode. Do it in like 3 to 6 month cycles where you're 3 months on, you're really heavily focused, locked in on one particular goal. And then work your way up to doing 6 months. And this doesn't mean that this doesn't mean that you're not still having a social life, guys. I want you to still date. I want you to still go live your life and have fun, but this just means you're doing less of that. It's less distractions to get ahead, to get that momentum. It means that you're working on the weekends. Maybe it's at least a day on the weekend, at least 6 hours or a day that you're working, treating one of the weekend days like a day during the week to get ahead with your goals. Okay. I've been doing this for honestly, for years now. And it's really, really helpful. You commit to intense focus periods on a single main goal to accelerate progress, okay? To get ahead. And it really cements those habits as well, all right? So that's all I got for you guys today, man. If you liked the video, help out the algorithm, pushes the content and the messages out to more guys. And let me know in the comments what you guys are struggling with, bro. I want to know, what are you struggling with right now? Because I read this stuff and it helps me kind of understand what you guys' struggles are to make better content for you that hits harder. And subscribe if you're not already, dropping videos every single week. And if you want to check out my free training, it's Complete Fire. It's in the description. If you want to book a call with me, talk about your goals, maybe you're struggling with women, attracting beautiful women, maybe you're struggling with figuring out your purpose, maybe it's, porn addiction, whatever it is that you're dealing with, link is in the description. I'll catch you guys in the next one.